Hi everyone, I am Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the garden. So the other day we went up to Altadena and visited Nuccio's and got to talk to Jim himself about the camellias and azaleas, their business, a little bit about what the fire damage looked like and how all of that went about for them, and then got to pick up some beautiful camellias and azaleas. So today, what we are going to be doing is I am going to be showing you a little bit of my tour with Jim, the questions that I asked, things like how did the business get started, questions about grafting and growing camellias from seeds, propagation, all of that kind of stuff, and a look at some rare varieties as well. We will also be talking a little bit with Jim about Huntington Library and Descanso Gardens. Nuccio's actually donated a number of camellias to both of those places, as well as both of those places purchasing a bunch of camellias from Nuccio's through various grants that they received and donations as well. And I will be showing you the very devastating fire damage in the Altadena area. So as many of you know, Altadena is the area where the Eaton Fire broke out and just devastated the community. It was quite a shock driving up there after having visited prior to the fires, seeing the just wreckage that fire left in its wake, and knowing the amount of people that are displaced, knowing the amount of people that have just lost everything, and just so much of the community that's been really terribly impacted by this natural disaster. So now I will play some of the footage for you of my conversations with Jim, as well as the utterly devastating imagery from the aftermath of the Eaton Fire. So was your dad a scientist, or just what was kind of the background?
After high school, he went in the Army, World War II, and he went to the Pacific. My uncle worked in shipyards, and they actually started the nursery in the parents' backyard in Alhambra in 1935, and bought the property there in 46.
Okay.
And neither one had any college background, so it was always just kind of on the job training pretty much, and which actually worked out real well. But so. And he actually loved camellia greens, like my brother thought about 11 years old, he kind of got fascinated with camellias.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because usually kids that young don't really care about plant material. Yeah, but he was enamored with camellias at a young age, and then just kind of carried on from there.
And so it started with just kind of cultivating varieties that already were existed.
Yeah, they took cuttings from people's yards, and my grandmother was a very large lady, so she probably, hey mom, cover me, I'm gonna steal some camellia cuttings from this guy's plant. They probably did that too to a certain extent.
So you said that they don't set seed on their own. So how do you?
My cousin actually took pollen from one camellia, from that split petal camellia to another, an azalea, to another azalea.
Okay.
He just took a pollen cell.
And then that will create this seed in and of itself.
If it works, you'll get a seed pod. Not pollen here. Oh well. Yeah, just take pollen from one to another, and now the azaleas, camellias, you get a seed pod, and maybe it's 3 or 4 seeds in the pod. Azaleas, if you get a seed pod small, that could be hundreds of seed. And so what do you do with them? You pretty much have to plant them all. You just can't, keep that nothing. You have no idea what you're going to end up with. So you keep all the seed, then they grow, then they bloom, and then you figure out what you're going to keep.
Figure out what you got.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So for growing these here, your guys' production.
Yeah.
it sounds like with the camellias, you're doing some seed production, but mostly some grafting.
Grafting, cuttings, and seed is a good new variety. Azalea is strictly cutting grown.
Cutting grown.
We don't do any grafting on azaleas. The bees do some work for us. They'll take pollen from one to another. If you get a seed, it'll be about maybe the size of a marble, a little larger maybe.
Okay.
Be 3 or 4 seeds in a seed pod. We wait till they crack and ripen on the plant.
Okay.
Then you plant them.
Okay.
So if you got a seedling, let's say from the black magic, it won't be black magic when it blooms. Because you have parents, two parents. Pollen was taken from maybe one called silver waves over to black magic. From seedlings, you have no idea what you're going to end up with. The only problem is the seedling community does not bloom for, on the average, 5 years. So you're waiting 5 years for something to bloom. They're all kind of nice, but they're maybe just kind of nice. They're not.
So is that how did, I guess with that statement, how did you guys get into the breeding portion?
That was my dad. My uncle was not as involved in the business yet, but not involved in hybridizing or getting new varieties. And my dad did most of hybridizing. And I'm sure he had something in mind. But when you hybridize, 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4. You may think, well, this one and cross with this one, boy, I'll get that. Yeah. It doesn't always happen.
Well, it's science.
It's a science.
You're kind of beholden to Mother Nature.
Very much so. Very much so. So it was always nice to have, my dad always said, you should have something in mind you make a cross. Just don't do it for the heck of it. Yeah. This one. Okay, we do what's called a very simple cleft graft. And so we take a 1 gallon camellia, chop it off, and we'll take let's show you, use them all up. We'll take a cutting of a certain variety and carve it a certain way. Then make a little slit here and put the graft, the little scion inside there, and put a little rubber, usually a rubber band. We lost all those too. So put some tape to close it up. Then put the jar on top as a mini greenhouse. And we do graft for several reasons. Most communities are cutting grown. Cuttings are easier. Like I get a nice 5 gallon, but they get 50 cuttings, they can punch them in, they're great. But it takes 2 or 3 years to make a saleable plant. Grafts, we graft for several reasons. Stop it! Those are my glasses. Anyway, certain communities do not root well from cutting. You can put cuttings in, nothing happens. They just don't root well. So you have to graft those. So every once in a while, we'll develop a new variety here, or a customer will send us some cuttings of a new variety, and those will graft. And the reason we do that is that from a cutting, you saw, it takes about maybe 3 years to make a plant that big from a cutting. In a 1 gallon. In a 1 gallon. 1 gallon. Okay. The grafts we do in January, we do grafting in January. The grafts due in January, if they work, they'll be up here end of summer. Oh, wow. And they have a saleable plant in a year at the most. Yeah. And the reason you have a big root system, a 3-year-old root system, a little sprig, if it works, it's going to go crazy. Now, the plants are not the most attractive plants to graft. They're skinny. They have so much in them, they just go up. So it's more of a hobbyist item, too. Okay. The hobbyists just want the plant. They don't care what it looks like. They want to get the little big flowers, big gold ribbons, whatever. Right. So we graft because certain things don't root well, or you can make a saleable plant a little faster. And then you do get that newer variety to root. Then you take cuttings for next year and kind of speed the whole process up. So we're just going to do a graft for this. First is here.
Yes.
Is that a punta high fragrance?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. High fragrance. Hi.
High fragrance?
Oh, is that the punta? The cutting?
No, it's the black magic.
Oh, black magic. It's a variety called black magic. We're grafting onto.
This is the flower.
We use several varieties for understock that are fast growing. One's called high fragrance.
Yes.
Back to you guys. I'm abandoning you.
It's good. We were having fun. We gathered with people in New Orleans. We read a bunch of this article.
We put cuttings in May and June. We get 2 cycles of growth on camellias. First cycle is just starting right now, and that cycle stops and hardens off in like May, June. We take tip cuttings of a new growth that's hardened off. I'll show you a few plants here, just kind of start now.
Yeah.
And it takes, we have a very basic misting system that cranks on via solar clock. So we get, takes several months to root, like 2-3 months to get roots. Then from there, they go in 3-inch pots, which I'll show you over here.
So you actually just take a cutting off of a plant
Yeah.
at a node, or?
Not really, no. I'll show you that in a minute. These are cuttings from last year. I mean, 2 years ago, May. Camellias. So once you get roots, the camellias go into 3-inch pots.
Mm-hmm.
Azaleas, I'll show you, they go into, you get root flat. There's about 200 cuttings in a flat. Every white label is a different variety on the cuttings.
So this is one of the streets just away from Nuccio's, and it is very sad to see all of the devastation here. It's very hard to put into words, but most people here in this area are not, multi-gazillionaires. These are normal family homes that burned down with just everyday people like you and me. And this is now what their neighborhood looks like. So if you followed the Eaton Fire here, this is real life of what these people are now dealing with and what these communities are dealing with, and it's shocking. Absolutely shocking.
And typical of the fire, what happened, the understock, the plants we graft onto, they all survived. In the same house, all the grafts that were finished last year that were saleable, all burned up. Why, I don't know. And then in that next Quonset house there, we had orders for the Camellia Society in Sacramento and Modesto Camellia Society. They usually deliver to, but it was going to deliver earlier than normal, but the fire came in. Right. The order for Modesto in the north part of the house all burned up. The ones from Sacramento were all fine. Obviously, they shared a lot of stuff and worked out well. But it was like, oh boy. Like somebody else came in. Friends of ours. They lost their house. Now
Oh my God.
Yeah, God. It's been a very cheerful parking lot. Everybody's come in, even people who, I think too, they just see the desolation coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get in the nursery, it's like, it's still here and it's green. It's almost like someone uplifting to see something. Yeah, and it is. It's just.
Well, and kind of seeing the difference between the green and then
God, yeah. exactly.
It's just kind of
Looks pretty stark. What happened here, and this was again how bizarre the fire was. This bench burned. Yeah. On the bench, we had, except from like these little plants on down, were all azalea plants the same age as these.
mhm.
They all died. Why didn't these die? I'm not sure if the fire got them or desiccation. I really don't know. But 9,000 azalea cuttings died on that bench, and these down here look fine. Again, much of the fire, because the fire just hit the bench. And
Yeah.
either went down and got the rest, or they just died from heat, or the fact that you had no water for 2.5 weeks. But these survived. I don't know. So we have a lot of stock plants. We keep a couple each of unusual varieties to propagate from. And also to get some flowers for flower shows. They're made for propagation. We're not going to propagate anymore. So people are walking down pulling stuff out to sell it. Normally will not be for sale. Just after the fire, I was able to get up here, once with the firemen, and once we have a friend with a policeman who lives up here. And we've been wanting to donate a lot of our collection anyway to the Huntington and Descanso. So I was able to get about 100 plants out to each place. And then someone gave Descanso a lot of money to buy some camellias. So they got about another 150 ones that they actually paid for.
Yeah.
So that was important. And these things you will not be able to buy anywhere, but at least you can see them in the garden. So that was kind of
Descanso and Huntington decide which varieties that they wanted, or did you?
Initially, no. What happened was, when I got in, I just grabbed plants at random.
Okay.
And I was doing it, and it was down below mainly, and that was a mess. Everything was blown over. There were pipes all over the place from structure. Shade cloth was all. So I said, well, I got graphs. I put name tag on that place. I got things that were not common. Well, most of the stuff down there is not common anyway.
Yeah.
So it was just at random. Then Huntington called back with a specific list, maybe like 20 or 30 plants. I got those down. And then when the council got the donation from someone to buy more camellias, then I made a big list for them. They took almost everything on the list. Yeah, so then they got more specific. But the first time around, I said, they don't have that problem. If they do, we'll get another one. Just I want to get them while I'll be able to get in. The camellias are red, white, and pink. They're years back. They're come from essentially Japan and China. There's a species found in China that's essentially yellow. The flower is nothing special except for the color, and leaf is different.
Oh wow.
This is actually very beaten up.
But if you want a camellia for its particular structure of green, being evergreen and all that, but you want yellow, then that's your.
Now, we have not done anything with it, but some people have hybridized with this, hoping to develop some other yellow camellias. No one's come up with yellow. They've been creamy. So they're not white. They're
And
yellow, but
most
they're not
everything's pretty stark white.
Yeah, but these are definitely not white. They're creamy. They're probably yellow, but not as yellow as the parent. This is a little better example of a yellow flower. I do have pictures of the offspring. There's no flowers left. Oh yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, this is folded up.
So cool. What's the name of that one? They like it pretty much. Do you have a name for it?
Yes,
it
used to be called chrysanthemum.
Okay.
But somebody changed the name. Why? I don't know. I just learned how to spell chrysanthemum. Nitidissima.
It looks very tropical.
Very tropical. This is a camellia. Now, who figured out this is camellia? I don't know. I mean, the text. I mean,
it doesn't.
It's very atypical. Now,
that's super cool.
The first time we saw this bloom, it's one of those things that for real, watch kettle never boils. We finally had some flower buds. Oh boy, you look at them every day. The flowers are very pronounced.
Yeah.
It took months to bloom. I'm gonna stop looking. I don't want to miss it. The flower's okay.
Okay.
It's a pink flower, open center, has the edge of the petals looks like it wants to have a distinct border. It doesn't, like it wants a white border. But that's it. And this is an amplexicol. Again, who figured out it's a camellia? Years ago, I think I read something where someone was trying to link very distant cousins, camellias and magnolias. Well, this is leaf is kind of magnolia-like. This is one, a species from China, reticulata camellias. And most of the reticulatas have big flowers. These ones that do not root well from cuttings. You have to graft the vast majority of reticulatas.
Okay.
But again, for the hobbyists like them, what's been more popular, we don't sell many reticulatas. The popular ones are when hobbyists took a pollen, like his bees doing, from this one to another one called japonica, they're standard camellias. And they want to get the big flowers, which does work out. It works out sometimes. You get gigantic flowers from crossbreeding reticulatas onto a japonica. And then bring the flowers to shows and again, get all the prices. Let's play here.
Tiger cheese. That's really pretty bright red. Ooh, this one's cool too.
This is not a virus. This is a genetic. Every once in a while I get one with a variegated leaf like this. But this is not a virus.
I also hope you enjoyed getting some information from Jim Nuccio himself on their nursery on camellias and azaleas as well. I know I had a great time spending the afternoon with him and just soaking in all of the knowledge and information that he has. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.